Salutations, utopians. Hope all is well in your world. Global here. Obviously, as we all know, there was a trade deadline that passed on February 5th. Wanted to take a second to let all transactions process without drawing conclusions, uh, with teams sometimes having multiple moves to make. And so, you don't necessarily always knows what's going on. So I decided to just wait. The big surprise, I guess, was that Giannis never did leave the Milwaukee Bucks, and Ja Morant had no trade suitors. With respect to Giannis, he partners with Kalshi. Seems like there was a little bit of a, which is a sports prediction app. I think his intention was to always stay with the Bucks, and they thought, hey, what better way to announce the partnership since sports is now sports number one endorser is the sports prediction app and betting company. So and that has now replaced shoe companies as the number one endorsement of sports of all sports leagues, let alone the NBA. Um, John Morant, a little bit more tricky. Memphis would have had to really settle for less. Kendrick Perkins brought up a point. ESPN senior analyst Kendrick Perkins brought up that he might be out the league. I kind of agree with those sentiments. If he doesn't start developing a jump shot, still can get separation whenever he wants out there, but it is a league that's going to require some floor spacing. I do think he's one of the more gifted floor generals that this league has. So that's one thing going for him as the league is inching away from the combo guard culture at the one, uh, with all these athletic wings. But he still has to further develop his game. So let's start with February 5th. The Wizards and the Dallas Mavericks started it off with the trade for between Anthony Davis and a myriad of draft capital and role players. First and foremost, Anthony Davis, uh, shout out to him. Mission accomplished. As we all know, everyone wants to keep bringing up the Luka and Anthony Davis trade. The Mavericks did exactly what they're supposed to do. This is not a team ready to go and pivot into competing. They got Cooper Flag as the priority. Anthony Davis went in there and did exactly what you expect from a quality veteran. Uh, and every team needs it. Vucevic with Bucelis. Uh, this is the kind of play where a veteran comes in, capable of drawing a double team when he is on the floor, handle the brunt work of the physicality, buy time for the youngsters so the game can slow down. And as you can see, both are emerging stars. I believe two separate draft classes. However, they sport a similar frame and style of play. Cooper, as you can see now, is the training wheels are off. Youngest player to score over 40 points as a teenager. He's out there just breaking records every night, setting new standards, records that are mirroring Luka Doncic. Most importantly, to help this franchise get over the hump and the reality of moving off 77. I still, like I said, like the trade by the DuPont family and Nico Harris, who I think deserves more respect for what he's done. He actually made the NBA go back to having two quality centers. I don't think the Mavericks get to the finals if they didn't land Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington. But Gafford, lively lineup, made everyone in the league go two centers deep. You can look at the Nuggets now. They got Jonas Valanciunas and Jokic. The Rockets went with Steve Adams, Segun. They have two centers at depth. They also have Capella. Teams are going, long story short, without getting too much into it, two centers thanks to Nico Harrison and the adjustment he made. With that being said, the Mavericks got Jaden Hardy was also included in that deal. Mavericks to the Wizards. That's another sneaky good acquisition because Hardy is a guy who just needs more minutes. Max Christie was suffering with his presence there. He was looking very promising. Sports a very entertaining style of basketball. The Wizards don't have a real natural one. Bub Carrington is 6'4", but he's a sharpshooter in the C.J. McCollum realm, and so they have been trying to find someone. Tyus Jones evacuated that franchise 2 years ago, and they've been looking for a lead guard. I'm trying to think off the top of my head if they had one. I'm definitely going to make a post related to that at some point. That is a sneaky good pickup. Also, uh, on their end. D'Angelo Russell won't be reporting to camp. With respect to the Mavericks, I mean Chris Middleton, that's a 6'10" guy who I think is going to have a profound impact on teaching uh, uh, Cooper Flag how to get to his spots as a fellow 6'9", 6'10" guy who's made a living off the mid range. He's actually there to help Cooper continue to get comfortable being a perimeter scorer. He got to see how to be in the paint from Anthony Davis. Now they bring in Chris Middleton. I also like the acquisition of Marvin Bagley. Tyus Jones was thrown in there. These are two Duke guys. As you can see, Kyrie stays, Duke Davis goes. Cooper Flag is there from Duke. They're building that wall of Duke alums. Bagley, to me, I expect a career resurgence, sneaky good. This is my top three favorite pickups in the entire trade deadline. He sports I think he can have a career resurgence, rebirth, similar to Tyson Chandler when he left the Bulls to come to the Mavericks. Um, I think he has a lot of potential. He actually has more of a game, all around game, high energy, 6'11" guy. They kept Gafford and Lively, so that means he can play the four. And he's going to be obviously, a little less talented than Davis, but he brings that consistency. Powell, who's played the fifth most games in franchise history, is rumored to be retiring. He can step right in. Ironically, Bagley sports a lot of the game that Christian Woods had, the person whose number he's replacing, formerly wearing that 35. Bagley can step right in. He's been a little inconsistent, but I think this is the defining moment of his career where everything is full circle. What I also like for the Mavs, they got the Oklahoma City Thunder's 2026 first round pick, and they also pick up Golden State's 2030 first round pick. They also get three future second rounders off the Wizards, which can be lucrative while they're still rebuilding. Warriors bringing in Porzingis from Kuminga and Hill. I love that move uh, for the Warriors from the perspective they never quite replaced uh, uh, Mo Buckets, and he was a key cog in their championship run. So he's right on brand. His personality kind of reminds me of Clay. Ironically, the floor spacing, being able to step out all the way to 3-pointer, is big time for the Warriors. Add another body along with Quentin Post who can shoot threes. They got a nice big rotation. Al Horford, who also is a former Celtic on that Celtics championship team, and then Draymond. I know a lot of people want to speak doom and gloom on the Warriors, but with Jimmy Butler missing, but Moses Moody it's time for him to step in there and to be that presence. Obviously, I don't think he's Kawhi Leonard, but you know, Steve Kerr was on the coaching staff of the San Antonio Spurs with Popovich. He watched. I believe he was there at the same time when Moses was learning. I'm sorry, when Kawhi was learning the ropes with Pop. Obviously, I don't know if Moses is that good. He does have big freshman records for most 20-point games in the Big 12. I think in his conference that he played in college, but I think he played at Arkansas. But at the end of the day, I do expect to see some kind of leap from him. Lately, he's been averaging 14 points in place of Jimmy Butler. I don't expect that to slow down. So all is not lost with the Warriors. Do I think they can win a championship? No, but I think they could knock someone off in the playoffs in pursuit of a championship. You definitely can't rest. Um, and then just, uh, the Hawks getting Buddy Hield and Kuminga. Kuminga, for me, I think he's very much like Jalen Johnson. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. They're just sorting through things right now. But I'm not as big of a fan of it as many other people are, because I think he's kind of exactly what Jalen Johnson is. Um, if he's willing to be, this is going to be the story of Kuminga's career. If he makes the most off being a six man, then it's going to be great. If he thinks he's going to come in there and play small forward, they just invested in Nikhil Walker Alexander this offseason. I think he's the priority to make him look good. So I just don't see a scenario where this is the defining moment of his career. But if he can keep it professional, then I think it can mean something. Um, Moving on to the Indiana Pacers and the Los Angeles Clippers. Zubac is the child of Los Angeles, whether uh, originally drafted by the great late Jerry West. And when Jerry went to the Clippers for an advisory role, they practically handed him for a second round pick to the Clippers because that was a Jerry West selection. He now is finally, after so many years with the Clippers, getting traded to Indiana, who had been rumored all season to be looking for another replacement to Miles Turner. I'm going to get to that in a second. They did get in return the Clippers Benedict Mathurin and Isaiah Jackson, along with a 26 first round pick from Indiana, 29 first round pick from Indiana, and then a 28 pick, second round pick from Indiana. Quite a hefty bag. I love it for the Clippers. I think they won this trade. This is one of my top three up there with the Marvin Bagley acquisitions of the draft. I think they fleeced the dog shit out of the Pacers, quite frankly. Uh, you know, Zubac, I feel like, is very overrated. He's given more opportunities than a lot of bigs in the league. He plays very slow. He's above average at a lot of things. He's above, I won't even say good, but he's above average. But ultimately, at the end of the day, Kawhi Leonard, who I think IQ is supreme, I call him a computer, wanted him out. I think this was more than anything his decision, plus the Clippers needed assets. But there's plenty of footage online if you want. Go look up on TikTok of him frustrated with Zubac, not necessarily knowing where to be on the court, flip from a spacing standpoint. He's not necessarily a face-up scorer. Everything is back to the basket. That archaic traditional big man mold is, yeah, the league is going back to fives, but you still need to have some form of face-up jumper. He does have somewhat of a jump hook, but that's not enough, I think, to be warranting this much capital. Congratulations to the Clippers on that. There was some great prospects in this year's draft. Brazil, CNAC, Brazil from Arkansas, CNAC from Houston, who I think they could have went after or targeted. This was not a good decision from the Pacers. I think they should have stood pat. Um, if that first round pick represents what I think it does. As far as the Clippers, they got themselves a perimeter scorer. I don't think Mathurin. And that's the other thing. The Pacers, the theme that's going on now in the NBA, you gotta have to corner the market at something. The Mavericks, when they got to the finals, they cornered the market at the five position. The Pacers with Halliburton, Shepard, Mathurin, these guys did a great job of keeping a flawless guard rotation where there was never a drop off. And I know I'm forgetting someone, some obvious name, but they had a great three guard, four guard rotation that there was no drop off in production. And this is going to hurt a lot. Isaiah Jackson fits that hybrid mold, 6'8", 6'9", forwards, wings, defenders who can line it up at the 5, 4, and the 3. And that hybrid build is what also helped the Mavericks with PJ Washington and Najee, and eventually, before Najee, it was Derek Jones Jr., who's now a Clipper. Then they got PJ Washington. Then they got Najee Marshall. The Mavericks understand the importance of those kind of wing defenders. The Sixers have two of them in Jarris Walker and Trenton Warford. Um, so that's a kind of archetype you got to have on a roster. The Clippers already have Derek Jones there, who's handling a lot of the brunt work of that. Finally getting healthy. Every quality team, if you look at their roster, have something like that. That's the missing piece right now in the Lakers. Haven't replaced that Finney Smith, but they do have Vando. That 6'8", 6'9", hybrid 3-4 type forward, you got to have one if you want to move the needle. So good for the Clippers also in that regard. They just completely fleeced them. I just think he's a bit overrated. Um, so that's just my take on that. Speaking of fleecing, I think Vucevic going to Celtics, that was just a complete, once again, the Celtics getting a bailout from the NBA. Anthony Simmons, as much as a fan as I am, and I was very upset. Speaking of bailouts, the Drew Holiday for Simmons deal, um, I didn't think it was a fair trade. Obviously, Holiday can be a great mentor to Scoot Henderson, who the Blazers now in the next couple months have to figure out, is he the guy, and if not, going to have to go look at Akuf or Flemings in this upcoming draft. So Simmons was a big loss. He was fourth in the Blazers' history in three-pointers made. He's now on the move again to the Bulls. I expect him to be the replacement to Kobe White, who I'll get to in terms of that trade. But Vucevic is a complete steal. He fits that mold of Al Horford and Luke Cornett, who signed with the Spurs, he did a great job for his 25 games of really helping them and Wemby. But Vucevic has expanded his three-point game. One of the most consistent players over the last 15 seasons at getting 20 and 10, whether it was with the Magic or with the Bulls. He finally gets to get his opportunity in the limelight. This is a great feel-good story if I've ever seen one. Obviously, everything is in line for the Celtics to make another run. If Tatum does return, Jaylen Brown is looking like an MVP candidate. So they're all cylinders are clicking. Peyton Pritchard. White is who he is. So they're out there just really just doing their thing. Great respect. Cato is out there in the top 5 field goal percentage in the NBA, being a great rim protector. The Celtics are ready to make another run quietly out of left field. Could easily be in the finals again. So this was a big time move for the Celtics, one of the most necessary. Speaking of the Bulls, they made a trade on February 5th. Don Sum going to the Wolves from the Bulls. Uh, the Timberwolves give up Rob Dillingham, Leonard Miller, 26 second round pick, 27 second round pick, 31 second round pick, 2032 second round pick. Uh, Phoenix, Golden State, most favorable between. Yeah, so these are just second round picks. One is from Cleveland, one is from the Golden State Warriors, which they would be between Golden State or Minnesota, and then you have the favorable between Phoenix or Houston. So 4 second round picks. Dillingham, I feel sorry for him, goes to a situation where it's a logjam. They acquired Jaden Ivey from the Pistons, along with Colin Sexton from the Hornets. It's just one of the worst log jams I've ever bear witnessed. He needs to go somewhere like Brooklyn. That's what I was hoping for. Terrible move for the Bulls. Just that trade, all in all, I hate because the Wolves have guys on their team already waiting for an opportunity. Even though he's more of a three, um, they got so many pieces over there. I can't remember his name, but he was drafted 31st. He's shown flashes of brilliance, and so for them to go out, they got a he's a lefty out there, but then they got DiVincenzo, and then they got Culver, who's waiting for his opportunity. Not to mention Naz Reid, Julius Randle. At some point, I expect them to go to a jumbo lineup: Gobert, Julius Randle, Naz Reid. So it's like, where are the minutes going to come from? They just basically relocated him out of his hometown. He's a hometown hero in Chicago for nothing. Suns getting Cole Anthony, Milwaukee Bucks getting Usam and Nigel Hayes. Nothing really to see here. The Bulls did get Nick Richardson in the three. Let me read it properly. Nigel Hayes, Usman Dieng going to Milwaukee. Phoenix getting Cole Anthony, Amir Coffey. And then the Bulls getting Nick Richards. I mean, the Bulls win this trade because Nick Richards is replacing Vucevic. Other than that, it's just a bunch of names being moved around. Hornets trading for Kobe White along with Mike Conley Jr., who got waived. In return, the Bulls get Colin Sexton. I think Kobe White is just a little bit more three-level scoring capable and very clutch. Colin can shoot the three, but it's not quite to the level Kobe White. And when you pair that with Concanoople, you just have one of the most lethal second units in the NBA. I think Kobe White on a substantive team is a six-man guy. The Bulls did get a 2 second round picks, one from New York and Denver in the trade, and then also whatever's favorable between Charlotte and Denver. So in 29, so 29, 2031, 2031s, second round picks in 31, 2 second round picks in 2031, and a 29 pick. Uh, Basically, and then Colin Sexton. I don't really care too much for that deal. Bulls again stockpiling. This should be an absolute blatant tank job by the NBA to witness. But I do like the three-level scoring change swap out from Colin Sexton to Kobe White to pair with Con Canupo in their second unit. That was a great move. Speaking of second unit, Jose Alvarado returning home. Deuce McBride is suffering from a serious injury right now. Sports herniated, so it makes perfect sense. The Brooklyn native, who brings back some of that essence of what makes New York basketball what it is. As you all know, the infamous fight with Mark Williams. That was a great pickup. Speaking of the Knicks, moving on, trading Bulls for Bulls with the Bulls, Yabusele. That's a great pickup. Yabusele. You got Nick Richards. Yabusele's a sneaky good acquisition for the Bulls. in cash considerations. That was a big time sneaky good move. They traded him for Dalen Terry. Um, they got cash and Yabusele. He needed to be freed out of New York. They had no use for him with the emergence of Diarra, rookie Diarra, who's breaking the rotation. He's looking like a bootleg Pascal Siakam. So Yabusele getting moved to Chicago, him, Nick Richards, and I forget, I think it was Colin Sexton in their first game combined for 40 over 40 points. Yabusele's starving to make an impact, and I think he's going to be able to showcase his greatness and his brilliance with the Bulls. Raptors acquiring Tracy Davis, Jackson Davis. This is another under the radar deal. Toronto Raptors are in the top five in fast break points. Tracy Davis on a random night can just go out there on a fast break and just play with the complete reckless abandonment for his body. I love the way he plays above rim. This guy is something else. All it cost the Warriors was all it cost the Raptors was a 2026 second round pick from the Lakers. Potel is in that category to me as Zubac. You really have to slow the game down for him to be effective. So Tracy Jackson really provides that up tempo, fast paced offense they need when they want to get to running. Um, uh, on the fast break. And so this to me, it might not seem like nothing, but with the Eastern Conference wide open, this guy can really pay dividends for for the Raptors. And remember this trade. This was a special trade. His dad, Dale Davis, uh, ran with a guy by the name of Antonio Davis in Indiana, who subsequently left after that. And they were called the Davis Bros, even though they're not related. When he went to Toronto, he provides that same type of style of and meaning to this Raptors team. Ironically, many years later, Davis was playing with Antonio. Think of the Vince Carter T Mac era. That's what Tracy Davis provides them now. He's an undersized 6'9" center, but he plays extremely athletic, physical. He's a bull in a china shop. I really love this move for the Raptors. This is up there for me with the Marvin Bagley deal and the Clippers trade in terms of top three most impactful. The Lakers acquiring Luke Kennard for Gabe Vincent in a 2032 second round pick. Uh, to be honest with you, this was an epic fail. I understand he leads the league in 3-point percentage, but this one spells the doom for Dalton Connect, which to me means that JJ Redick failed for me in the development of Dalton. They shouldn't be out here acquiring another three guy, uh, especially with the news to now, especially now with Luka Doncic out with the hamstring injury. I don't think Luka physically is the kind of guy who can play through a hamstring and be effective. It could be nothing. It could be season ending for me. And if that's the case, giving up a valuable second round pick for Luke Kennard, even though there's sentimental meaning, uh, having played on a AAU team that LeBron sponsored, and he is the lead leader in 3-point field goal percentage. Jackson Hayes is also a Cleveland native or Ohio native, so I understand, and I think Luke Kennard passed LeBron James fourth all time in scoring, state scoring record in Ohio, but. To me, I don't like this deal. They needed an enforcer. They needed a Yabusele. They needed a Jarris Walker. They needed something like that. Now, there are some names in free agency. Chris Boucher. I'm trying to remember. Haywood Highsmith. There's another guy also. I can't remember off the top of my head who hit the buyout market. But they need a physical four over there to move the needle. Kenny Smith said a mosquito at a picnic. It can't just be Vando. This was not what they needed. I don't care how good he shoots. He made his first three-pointer when they played on Saturday. Still, I'm very disappointed in this deal. I don't care for it. I'd rather them continue to give opportunities to Dalton Connect than waste their time taking a Luke Cornett. That damn sure not for a second round pick, and he's not much of a lockdown defender. Um, Jock Landale got rerouted to Atlanta from the Jazz, and Alonzo Ball 2 second round pick deal. Landale going to the Hawks. I guess he just goes there to replace Porzingis. He's more of a real five than Porzingis. They were using Porzingis at the five, but he's more mobile and up and down the court. That's what they needed. I like the deal for the Hawks. Uh, let's see if there's anything else here. Cavs getting James Harden for Darius Garland. To me, they're the same player. Just one is much younger. Harden, I think, is 35, like Vucevic. Garland is in his mid to late 20s, but they're basically the same type of player. Um, their playoff performance, everything down to a T. I don't think this is a deal that really moves the needle. Um, Garland's dad is a former Clipper back in the day, so it has some sentimental meaning. But ultimately, at the end of the day, in my experience, I don't see veterans jumping the gun and getting a ring in their late 30s. Um, he's been durable all year, uh, and that's something Garland hasn't. Um, I don't think Garland, again, Kawhi is a winning player, and I don't think Garland plays enough winning basketball to move the needle. Garland and Mathurin is going to be okay, I guess, but uh, yeah, I just I'm not that excited about that deal for either team, to be honest with you. The Clippers did receive another second round pick. I like the idea of them stacking capital for a draft capital. That's major. Um, because they need to find a star, and in this day and age, you can find them anywhere if you got the right scouting department. Lawrence Frank has proven to be, competent, so that's fine. Sixers getting McCain for a 26 first round pick and three future second round picks. That was kind of steep, to be honest with you. I know the Thunder got a lot of them, but and I'm assuming that it's not looking good for Nikola Topic. Also, what does this mean for Kason Wallace? What does this mean for AJ? Um, there's just so many questions, but they do have a lot of them. For some reason, when I read this originally, I thought this was three first round picks, but it's 3 seconds and a first. It's a great insurance policy for the Thunder, who have been hit with the injury bug. I think they are the second most in-game injury team in the NBA right now, only to the Pacers. And so getting depth is key. I think McCain's going to fit in right with their culture. He's a TikTok, YouTube guy. So it's going to be interesting. Social content creator, very easygoing locker room guy. Thought it was crazy that the Sixers front office, Daryl Morey, said I sold high. I thought that was a little bit extreme to say something like that publicly. I think he was keeping it a little too real, but I definitely think his growth was being stunted being in Philly with Paul George there, even though Paul is out. But, Maxey is the primary guard. Me personally, if I was Philly, I would be moving off Maxey and Paul George. I don't care. I know he's got a shoe rollout and he's going on the All Star team and he's playing the most minutes. But I would have sold high on both of them. I was saying this even before the drug testing positive for whatever ketamine or whatever it was. I think Jared McCain and VJ Edgecombe should have been the backcourt and just got whatever you could get, especially with Joel Embiid question health in the air, questionable health. Um, but the East is wide open, and they went ahead and stockpiled some things. Didn't get a single player back from this Thunder, but that's a great return for Jared McCain. He was looking like Roy of the Year, but I could tell right away Paul George wasn't allowing him to run point when he did finally make it back last year, and then McCain got injured, which I think was a blessing in disguise because it was ruining. I think he would have ruined him if that season continued to play out. So I think it's a win-win for both teams um, in that regard. Says Oklahoma receives Mason Plumlee for Usman Deng and a second round pick. That's major with the injuries to Hartenstein, who's going into a contract year. Even Shet has been a little fragile in years past. Plumlee is one of the more underrated passing bigs in the league and just a great passer in general as a vet in the league. Great low post defender. As you all know, the league is going back to centers as we've been talking about. So this was a big time sneaky good acquisition for the Thunder, getting some depth because they're also on that list of most injured teams in game injuries. I think I just said second in the league in that. Tyus Jones ended up going to the Mavs. This was an interesting one, disappointing one for me watching Jared Jackson go to the Jazz. They had a very fun team, one of my favorite all-time teams, Kelly Olynyk, Kelly Olynyk, Kessler, and Markkanen. Three big lineup. Coach Hardy was running, um, and I think uh, Flipowski, uh, Markkanen, and JJJ is going to be an interesting thing to witness if, in fact, they do that. I do think somebody's getting moved this offseason, and the Jazz' full intention next year is to pivot into being a contender. But this year they're focused on tanking, so I was disappointed to see Jackson go somewhere in the abyss of irrelevance. Uh, Memphis getting Walter Clayton and a reunion with Kyle Anderson is interesting. Three future first round picks is amazing for the Grizzlies, who are in rebuild mode. Bottom line, I think it's tragic that the Grizzlies are rebuilding off of they were so close to becoming a household name franchise, but it got expensive based on their attendance being in the late 20s and, three players needing to be supermax. Something had to give. I don't know what's going to happen with the Jazz. Um, and like I said, either Kessler's getting moved, Markkanen, something's going to have to give. Flipowski's already a better rebounder than JJ. That's the other thing I found unfortunate. I know he's a second round pick, but he puts up every time. And his response to the trade, he went out and did, I think 15 and 11 this in 19 minutes. I mean, just completely ridiculous. Guy's a three-level scorer, has been paying his dues, and so he's kind of in the same situation John Collins was before he departed finally to the Clippers in the offseason. And he's just a guy who's too good to be playing, I guess. And then the Jazz are unapologetically tanking. So I hate that it was JJ ending up there of all places. But let's see how it plays out. It sucks to watch that for Filipkowski because he just from Duke, second round guy. He really has been showing, and I would love to see him on a team like the Knicks or the Lakers or something. He really has been a lone bright spot in Utah and one of the more best kept secrets. Um, Pistons sending Jaden Ivey to Chicago for Dario Saric, who got cut, a first round pick that was you know, protected, and then Kevin Huter. They already got Duncan Robinson, so I didn't understand that. This is another trade I just really hate with all my heart. Jaden Ivey going to a hopeless situation. As you already know, they got Giddy, they got Trey Mann, they got Rob Dillingham. Anthony Simmons, though he's been playing someone I think can slide over to the two from that regard. But Colin Sexton is also one. So they got literally 5 point guards on the roster. Just a buffoonish deal right there. If I'm being honest, I just don't like it at all. What's going on with Chicago? Billy Donovan is not allowed to coach. It hurts to watch, man. Duop Reith going to Atlanta. They're already kind of loaded over there. They got three power forwards, but they did get a 27 second round pick and a 30 second round pick from Atlanta for Atlanta. But in return, they got Vic Krejci, Schroeder, Keon Ellis going to the Cavs for uh, DeAndre Hunter. Um, with the emergence of they got a born ready player, a plug and play shooting guard already over there. So Keon Ellis became expendable with DeRozan and Levine on that roster. Um, I don't know why I can't. He's from Colorado. He's a plug and play guy. Some people said reminds them of Doug Christie. So giving away Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroeder to the Cavs, to me wasn't wasn't that bad of a deal. Sacramento getting DeAndre Hunter, he reminds me a lot. The GM Scott Perry was on the Detroit Pistons '04 championship team, one of the greatest championship teams ever assembled, and in pro sports. And he reminds me a lot of Tayshaun Prince, and I think that's what General Manager Perry identified with. Also, Doug Christie had a teammate when he was on the Kings, Gerald Wallace, who didn't necessarily get to shine the way he wanted to because the Kings were loaded. Turkoglu, Stojakovic already were there, so there wasn't a lot of minutes, but he ended up eventually spreading his wings with the Hornets or the Bobcats at that time and led them with Steven Jackson to the playoffs. I think Hunter was a great pickup for the Kings, and I think he's in good hands. A franchise that knows his worth. He can play a little point forward, multi-position lockdown defender, versatile scoring capability on a three-level basis. He's in a good thing. He definitely, I mean, he just had an eye injury, so we'll see how that plays out. But no matter what happens, I think that was as great of a situation as you could return on investment as possible. Um, so yeah, that was kind of crazy. I want to go back one thing though. I definitely want to say you could. It's kind of crazy. Speaking of the Kings, that they couldn't get a suitor, uh, for Sabonis, but Zubac went for all that. I mean, I know the Pacers couldn't go and reacquire him after they used him for the Halliburton deal, but it is kind of absurd to me that they couldn't find a suitor. Nobody. It just almost feels like borderline collusion. Like, what do you mean you couldn't find a suitor for Sabonis? If in fact they were trying to move him, but I'm just going by reputable, announcers who cover the game, senior writers, saying that there was no market for Sabonis, but there's a market for Zubac. That doesn't make no sense. Sabonis clears him as a distributor, physical presence, face-up guy. Yeah, he doesn't shoot threes, but he can knock a midi down. Has a post-up game and runs a little point center. He's way more useful than Zubac, and you see what was given up. But regardless, I'm still going to salute the Kings for the work they did. In any event, hope this video was informative. I'll try to do better next time. Utopians Global out.